Okay, let's dive right into this. For years, the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been a place of, let's say, simmering tension. But in just the last few days, that tension has absolutely exploded into open conflict. We're talking airstrikes, border clashes, and a war of words that has put the entire region on edge.
So the big question is, why now? I mean, what pushed this long, complicated relationship over the edge into one of the most dangerous flare-ups we've seen in a very long time? That's exactly what we're going to break down here.
And I really want to stress this. This is not just another minor border skirmish. Sources on the ground are calling this the sharpest escalation in years. It's a really significant, violent turn of events, and you can bet it has caught the attention of world powers. To really get a grip on how we got here, we first have to look at the chain of events that basically lit the fuse. So let's walk through the timeline of how this border quite literally caught fire. It all happened so fast. It really kicked off on a Thursday with airstrikes deep inside Afghanistan, something the Taliban immediately blamed on Pakistan. Then, by Saturday, the Taliban hit back with retaliatory attacks. And just when you thought things might cool down, nope, fresh clashes erupted all over again on Tuesday. It was just a rapid-fire escalation. And, alongside the actual fighting, there's this fierce information war going on. I mean, just look at these numbers. Pakistan is claiming it killed over 200 militants while losing 23 soldiers. At the same time, the Taliban claims it killed 58 Pakistani soldiers while losing only 9 of their own. The real number is probably somewhere in between, but these figures are worlds apart, and it just goes to show you how deep the mistrust is. Of course, a conflict like this doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. To really get what's happening, we need to rewind the clock a bit and look at the long, and I mean incredibly tangled history between these two nations. Their relationship has always been this huge paradox. They share this massive 1,600-mile border that they don't even agree on. For years, Pakistan was a key backer of the very same Taliban that they're clashing with right now. They're also major trading partners, and Pakistan has taken in millions of Afghan refugees. It's this wild mix of cooperation and conflict all at once. And right at the heart of today's conflict is this group, the TTP, also known as the Pakistani Taliban. Now, this is super important to understand. They are a separate group from the Afghan Taliban, but they are ideological allies. You can think of them as cousins. And their main goal? To overthrow the government in Pakistan. And this is where all the trouble really starts. And we're not talking about some minor threat here. The TTP carried out 600 attacks against Pakistani forces in the last year alone. For Pakistan, this isn't just a nuisance. It's a massive national security crisis. And they are convinced the TTP is getting a safe haven to operate from right across the border in Afghanistan. Which brings us to Pakistan's official stance. This quote from their military really says it all. They're drawing a very clear line in the sand, saying they will not tolerate Afghanistan being used as a launchpad for attacks against them. This is their justification for everything that's happened. Just when you think this whole situation couldn't get any more complicated, a new player enters the game, and it completely changes the math. Let's talk about the India factor. The timing of this next event is just, wow, it's critical. Just as these tensions were hitting a boiling point, the Taliban's foreign minister makes a historic visit to India, Pakistan's #1 regional rival. And you can imagine this set off some serious alarm bells in Islamabad. And this visit was a big deal. The Indian government called it an important step in their friendship. Now, from Pakistan's point of view, this is a strategic nightmare. The very group they supported for years to keep their western border safe is now cozying up to their main rival on their eastern border. Yeah, analysts are calling this visit a step change. For decades, Pakistan's entire strategy was to have a friendly government in Kabul to avoid getting strategically squeezed between two potentially hostile borders, while that entire calculation now seems to be completely falling apart. So when you have a nuclear-armed state clashing with its volatile neighbor and a regional superpower getting involved, well, it is no surprise at all that the rest of the world is watching this very, very closely. Almost immediately, calls for de-escalation started coming in from all over. We heard from China, Russia, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, all of them urging restraint. It's a clear sign of just how vital stability in this part of the world is to everyone else. And then, in a slightly surreal twist, the fighting also caught the attention of former U.S. President Donald Trump. He told reporters he heard about the war and offered to broker a peace deal, saying, "I'm good at solving wars." An unexpected offer, to say the least.
So where does that leave us? Well, while the active fighting has paused, the underlying issues are far from fixed. This recent flare-up has potentially kicked off a new and much more unstable future for the entire region.
To really get the gravity of this, you have to realize just how rare it is for a foreign power to conduct airstrikes in Kabul. The last time it happened was a US drone strike back in 2022. So for Pakistan to even be accused of doing the same thing, that crosses a major red line and fundamentally changes their relationship with the Taliban. So here's the crucial point. The Taliban is now stuck between a rock and a hard place. Their alliance with the TTP is costing them dearly, both with Pakistan and on the world stage. But their ideological bond with the TTP is deep. These are groups that fought side by side for years. Turning on them now could cause major fractures inside the Taliban itself.
And that leaves us with the one question that will define what happens next. Given their shared history and beliefs, the Taliban is deeply reluctant to turn on the TTP. But until they do, this border is likely going to remain on fire. The world is watching to see if the Taliban will choose its old allies or a stable future.